Perfect. Well, firstly, thank you to everyone that's here, that's managed to find some time out of your busy schedules to connect and learn a little bit more about the European Alps, to meet Rupert, to dive into what is Oxford Ski Company, and obviously the highlights, see the faces of our beautiful team in the US, which is a reason in itself to come and log into this webinar. So without further ado, I'm thrilled to introduce you all to Rupert Longton, who is a dear friend and an amazing, amazing skier. I've had the chance to go to Europe twice to ski with Rupert. And I think that one of the beautiful things about Oxford Ski Company is having that go-to expert that can really help you navigate. And it goes way beyond the luxury hotels. It's about navigating the different destinations, understanding the differences between one hotel and the other, the categories, and then most importantly, when do you move from a hotel into a chalet experience? So the options are numerous. There's a portfolio of over 100 different chalets, not to mention the hotels and their own private experiences. But also, what is the difference between Courchevel and Megève and Lech and all the other mountains? So that depth of information and know-how is, I think, what makes Oxford Ski Company so unique. And it is what makes Rupert so unique, because he's been there and done it and skied all of it. So thank you, Rupert, for taking the time to teach us and walk us through these amazing destinations. And just before I let you go, I will make sure I introduce these beautiful four faces that are staring at you, hopefully. Natalia, who I'm sure many of you know, is our Director of North America. So she's heading our strategy and making the plans for how we navigate this amazing market. We have Diego, that's based in Los Angeles. We have Jules, who's our Midwest girl,
Hi, everybody.
in Chicago, Julie. And Gwen, who is in the busy Big Apple, New York, overseeing the East Coast. So thank you for joining us. And Rupert, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Tina, for your lovely introduction. And I ditto everything you're saying about the beautiful and lovely people that you have on your team. It's absolutely fantastic to work with you, and great to set up these sessions this week and next week. So thank you. Let's crack on. I think, as this slide says, in two parts, discover the European Alps. Look, this is just going to be a general overview of the Alps. We can't go into full detail, but we're hoping by the end of today and next week a little bit more on the product side, you'll get an understanding of what the Alps has to offer. I'm hoping it will fuel more questions which can be asked today. It's going to be, please do ask questions. I love questions, and so that's fantastic. And if we don't get through the questions today, or you think of them afterwards, there's always opportunities to ask. So that's crucial. The other bit, I think, on this slide, as you can see in the corner, it says 25 years. So I think that's quite crucial. This sort of knowledge and expertise has been built up over 25 years this year. So we're celebrating in lots of different ways. And it can't expect you to have all that knowledge and expertise in just a couple of 20-minute or so sessions. So we've got to be realistic about what we can show you. I don't know how many of you have been to the Alps before. If you haven't, much as Tina said, I'd love to try and get you there at some point, and obviously your clients. So let's just crack on. So just today, with the contents of what we're going to discuss is access, the key access points to the Alps, how easy it is to get there and to the resorts, a little bit of discussion on the pricing, which countries, resorts are more expensive than others, and elements of pricing when in the resort, the different and key main ski areas. I think there was something like 2,000 ski areas across the Alps. We, as a company, actually work with about 35, 40, but really for this market, we're condensing that down probably to 12 to 15 ski resorts. So it's a bit more focused. And a little bit of conversation on the Icon and Epic passes. Some of you may or may not know. Excitingly, these passes, which have been in the US for a healthy number of years, are spreading into the European Alps. and that presents opportunities, and we're getting more questions on that, so we can look at how those ski passes or offers can benefit people. Access. I think the crucial thing to explain here for a lot of people is understanding that the Alps is quite a small area, certainly small, like everything when it comes compared to the US and skiing there. It's all very condensed. And I think this is something that people don't know, particularly if they haven't been there. So I'm going to talk about it, assuming you haven't all been there. The main countries which cover the Alps are France, Switzerland, Austria, and Italy. And as you can see from this map, with all the blue dots, which are kind of ski resorts within these countries, they're all next to each other. They're all literally linked up. Switzerland's probably the central one, which likes to sees itself as the capital of the Alps because it is pretty much all mountains, but Austria probably is too. France much bigger, but the eastern side of France is the Alps, and in Italy it's the northern part of Italy. So I think what you've got to understand is nothing is very far away when you get there, and that makes it quite easy to look at different opportunities when you're skiing in the Alps. And we're sort of talking about just this one relatively small geographic area. It is just one mountain range. The only other mountain range that you get talked about quite a lot is the Dolomites. That is a small, very special pocket of mountains just on the south of the Alps. In this map, just literally north of where Italy is written. And you probably have heard of that, because it's also a World Heritage Site because they're so beautiful. They're not actually the same mountain range as the Alps. So the Dolomites are separate, just a small little pocket of mountains. To access the skiing, probably the main hubs we talk about for clients flying into really are flying directly into Zurich and Geneva Airport. Those are the two biggest hubs. There are other places you can fly into, but I would say 90% of clients on scheduled airlines are flying into those two airports. So again, it's quite straightforward. Now, I appreciate clients may be skiing as part of a bigger tour, so going into London or Paris or Milan and other places. But if they're flying directly into the mountains, those two airports are key. And Geneva services more the western side of the Alps. So you can see on this map, the left-hand side, and Zurich more the sort of northern and eastern side, and access into Austria is often via Zurich as well. So those are the two hubs that we often talk about. But as I say, Milan, Paris, London can also provide very good interconnecting flights. And those who are doing private charter, for those clients, often there are airports closer to ski resorts. So if you're flying into Geneva and Zurich, ski resorts start from about an hour away and go up to about 3 hours away. This is by road transfer. If you're flying into private airports, that time can be reduced to under an hour. It can be down to 15 to 30 minutes. So, you know, people who like private air charter, that is one of the key benefits.
Rupert, quickly before you keep going on that, Barbara has a question about the currency that you're quoting on.
So we quote in the currency of that country. So France, Austria, and Italy, euros; Switzerland, Swiss francs.
Perfect. Thank you.
And we can convert it. We can convert it as needed.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. So that's just a little bit of the basic demographics of kind of, you know, the geography of where the places are. We look at this resort, sorry, this map of the ski resorts. There are certain top ski resorts which I really think are the most in demand, not just from, I'm going to say, clients coming from the US, but I'm definitely focusing on that. But I would say it's fairly similar to clients coming from all around the world. You know, our clients for the Oxford Ski Company over the 25 years. Yes, I started the company focusing on clients from the UK, but now our clients come from all over the world. And there are certain key blue chip ski resorts which are the best for various different reasons, as a combination of amazing skiing and sort of first class lift systems, and that tends to match with amazing product. So first class properties, whether it be private chalets, villas, or hotels. And each country has probably a few key places. So in France, the resorts you may or may not have heard of are in the Three Valleys, bottom left-hand corner, which is the biggest ski area in the world. And this is why it's so popular. It offers a huge 600 kilometers of linked skiing off one ski pass. No driving in between. That's often quite a big difference between the US. Everything is linked together. It's kind of often I get wow from feedback. I can't believe it's so big. And those resorts are Courchevel, 1850 denoting the altitude, Méribel and Val Thorens. Espace-Calais, probably the next biggest ski area in France, which is Val d'Isère and Tignes. And then Megève and Chamonix. Those are probably the main French areas. Moving into Switzerland, Verbier and Zermatt, very well known. Zermatt probably the most internationally known because it's as popular in the summer as in the winter. I know if you've been there now, you'd find a lot of people coming from all around the world visiting Zermatt. Zermatt, as you can see from the map, is on the border with Italy, with Cervinia. So it's one of those unique places that you can ski from Switzerland and into Italy for lunch and then go back again, which is what people love because you get wonderful food in both. Gstaad, St. Moritz, often known for the glitzy polo racing, lots of fur coats and fun. It's certainly one of the more glamorous, old-time glitzy resorts. Moving into Austria, Lech, St. Anton, the Arlberg is probably the creme de la creme of Austrian skiing. Kitzbühel stand out itself on its own. And then Italy is a funny one. I think the important bit to explain about Italy is obviously a big country with good access to the mountains, but actually it's the least commercial of all ski countries. There's more product in probably Courchevel 1850 in France as in numbers of hotels and chalets than there are in the whole of Italy that we'd work with. So it is well worth a visit, but it's not got a lot of property. So that's a little overview on those resorts. Now, pricing and costs. Oh, I've gone too far. I do apologize. Switzerland, in general, sitting on its own, known for finance, is the most expensive of those countries. It just historically always has been, based on the fact that cost of living in Switzerland is high, running costs are high, therefore the cost of holidays are high. So in general, when people are saying where is the most expensive, where is less expensive, Switzerland's going to come a bit higher, just as in general. We mustn't use that as an absolute given though. And France probably comes in as the slightly more commercially minded, better value, because there's a bigger choice of properties. So it's kind of a classic demand and supply situation. Austria sits somewhere in the middle, and Italy comes sort of slightly on its own as actually very, very good value because it's just not as commercially minded and they're a bit more relaxed about things, and they don't, I'm going to say, slightly overcharge, perhaps, that you might get in some areas. So France is, for us, the Oxford Ski Company, by far our biggest seller because it's got the most product and probably has the most choice to offer clients. And that's why people are going there more than anywhere else in general. The other bit I want to mention on pricing is really just the fact that skiing at the moment in the Alps is considerably cheaper than skiing in the US. Now, I'm not trying to say one is better than the other here. I'm just doing a bit of a price comparison. We all know there's amazing skiing in Aspen and Vail and places. And in fact, if anything, I would thank Aspen and Vail and places for doing such a good job over the years that the European Alps has actually raised their game to match the quality of properties and product and service levels. So thank you for that. But I think, just a few basic stats here, which are quite interesting. A private ski guide instructor for a day in Vail Aspen's about $900. In the Alps, it's less than half of that. It's quite a big difference if you were a family and wanted a couple of guides for the whole week, which we highly recommend, because that really gives you the experience of the mountains when you're with these professionals to really show you around, not just the skiing, but kind of the culture, the restaurants, the mountains, the behind the scenes part of skiing, which I think a lot of people traveling that far want to see. And ski schools are the same. You know, it's about half the price as it is in the US at the moment, which makes it a little bit what's the word? It's just quite interesting, because clients are going, really, what can I do? Okay, the flights might be a bit more expensive, a bit further, but actually my skiing element is a lot cheaper. So I can throw a bit more at that. And that's what we're finding, people going, okay, now it's really use this to really put some money into, you know, into the lessons, into instruction, other elements of their holiday, which they may be holding back a bit in the US at the moment, if that makes sense. Then, okay, having said this, with pricing and resorts, when it comes to where we hold benefit to our clients is where to go when, and what's the best value options, where to be clever about spending your money. I think whoever you are, if you're Bill Gates or whoever you are, you know, you still don't want to be wasting your money unnecessarily. And our job is to be there to really, I think, advise our clients, advisors like yourselves, to really be clever about where to go when, because it's quite a big market out there. Yes, the season runs from early December. It's the same season. It's the Northern Hemisphere as you have, you know, in the US, you know, early December through till beginning of May. But there are certain resorts that are better early in the year based on higher altitude resorts. And there are certain ones that are better later in the year, and just different snow patterns. And our job is to minimize risks as much as possible and maximize benefits as much as possible for your clients. And everyone has a budget, so we want to kind of fit that budget in. For example, Switzerland, as I said, is the most expensive in general. It has a huge demand for Christmas and New Year. Everyone wants to go and use their homes in the Swiss Alps at that time of year. So probably Christmas, New Year, January, and into the February European holidays, really popular. But actually it tails off at the spring break. It tails off in March and into Easter. And suddenly the prices drop off, and often can be better value or even cheaper than in France. So I'm explaining this, not that you should remember it, but there are certain nuances that we want to deliver for you. Every season has peaks and troughs, and our job is to navigate you around that. When are the quieter times to go? If you're not beheld by holidays, you know, the festive break doesn't mean anything to you, then where else can you go? And often the prices at the end of January or early February are considerably cheaper, and it's midwinter, so the snow should be at its peak, and a great time to go away. So that's that. And last of all, I'm conscious of time here, the epic and iconic ski passes. I'm sure you've looked at the websites. They are brilliant, and actually they've opened up to more resorts this year, depending on what level you buy. But if you buy the top level pass, you get now pretty much 7 days access to the resorts listed on your left-hand side. Now that's quite a big saving, and definitely quite an attraction, and we're being asked about it all the time. I wouldn't say it's the be all and end all of why you should choose those resorts, because I'd rather look at all the other elements that are important to you, to your clients, whether, you know, what level of skiers they are, what is it about? Is it about skiing, or is it about the culture? Is it about just being immersed into the European Alps and all the bits that go with it? If you just want to ski all day, every day, literally, what is it? Where's the best place to go for that? But certainly, where possible, we would try and recommend using those passes, because covering the 3 valleys, the Courchevel and Maribel, and the Ski Arlberg, that's Lech and Saint-Anton and Verbier, you know, that's a big ski domains, which actually, if you have an epic pass, you should use. So that's kind of trying to keep it quite short and simple, where I'm trying an overview of some differences between the European Alps, those 4 key countries. Any questions? Yeah, any questions? Oh, yes, we do have a question.
Are any of these virtuoso for related clients for benefits, Rupert?
Virtuoso, yes, definitely. We are Virtuoso member, so you can benefit from that. My only small caveat is there's not as many places as linked to Virtuoso in Europe as they are in other parts of the world. That number is increasing. At the same time, based on our 25 years of history, experience, volume of business, all we do is skiing with these places. We often get the same and sometimes better benefits anyway in our agreements and contracts. So it's good, and we would always use it, but it's not the absolute. I wouldn't say it's the only reason to choose one place over another.
Great. We have a few questions. How about snowboarding? Is that throughout, or you see it in some areas that is a no-no?
Sorry, say that again, please.
Snowboarding?
No. It's snowboarding is allowed everywhere. Don't worry, there's no.
Great.
It's snowboarding and skiing is seen as open house for everyone.
And obviously, I know you're able to advise when there are some destinations that are more family friendly versus couples, but are you able to advise the same thing when they're pet friendly accommodations?
Yes, we get a lot of requests for that, and most there are a few exceptions. Unfortunately, some of the chalet owners are, I think, unnecessarily a bit negative about pets, but we can always accommodate it. We have 600 odd private homes, chalets, villas on our books. There's a lot of choice there. Occasionally they might ask for a supplement of a few €100 for extra cleaning, but we try and say that's not necessary. I think from experience, humans have more chance of making the mess than
this is true
than pets. So no, we very much like to be user friendly for that.
Fantastic. Are you able to match hotel pricing with the hotel website?
Yes, absolutely. So no pricing at any point is ever going to be more expensive. It's exactly the same as the public rate, and in some cases it may be less. So there's never anything that we propose, whatever the property is, that has a markup.
Fantastic. I love all the questions that are coming. Carla has a question in terms of clients of hers that she's thinking they're intermediate skiers, and she wants to know, what do you recommend? If is the Dolomites or Slovenia better?
So intermediate skiing fits in actually in most resorts very well. Certainly the key ones we're talking about here. So that's less of a problem. But the Dolomites, very good for intermediate skiing, good cruiser skiing. Yes, the Three Valleys, all of that good intermediate cruiser skiing. I would say that the bit where one has to be more wary is if they're really advanced skiers and only want to really challenge themselves off-piste, then somewhere like Andermatt, as you can see on the screen in Switzerland, just doesn't offer enough compared to somewhere like Verbier, which offers a lot. Or the other end of the scale is beginner skiers. Somewhere like Zermatt, much as it is stunning and beautiful and a must visit, it's quite a spread out resort as a town, and you don't ski back into the middle. So if children and small children are having lessons, then it's not very central, and I think it just makes it a bit harder to navigate. Whereas in someone like Courchevel 1850, which has pretty much every property is ski in, ski out, the lessons are almost next door to your property, so that makes it easier. So intermediate is an easy one.
Great. And if for all the advisors that are joining us, we know how great you are in terms of like putting these trips together, but the unique experiences that Oxford uses or more offers to clients for both on snow and off snow. That's a question from Amira, actually. What are some of those that you can point out that they are different than anybody else's, exclusive to you?
Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily say there's something completely exclusive to us, although we can create exclusive experiences. We can create putting up private tents up the mountain and do a dinner party if that's what you want, or private parties and events. That is fine, but I think the more important bit is the experiences which are not skiing and on or off the mountain, very much we help. We have an experienced team, and those experienced managers do all those different elements, whether it is being the travel parts to it, or whether it is, you know, arranging children's party because it's someone's birthday halfway through, and getting someone dressed up as Father Christmas, if that's what you want, to deliver the stockings, or whatever it might be. We will do all of it. So I'm not going to say they're absolutely unique, because that would be not quite true. But having said that, we have tailored things. We basically will tailor things to exactly what clients want. And as long as it's still legal, we'll do it.
Otherwise, we'll listen. That's just me. Are you quoting net, gross? And also, Lindsay wants to know if you are charging an initial consultation like fee.
No consultation fee, which is just the way the way it works for us in the UK. We don't charge a fee. Well, I wish we did sometimes. So we don't. That's not how the business model works. We're charging. We're quoting a gross price, but at the same time of quoting you that, we will tell you what that rate is to you, what commission you get. So, and it does vary, because it's not a sweeping 10, 15, 20% across the board, because again, it varies between peak dates, off-peak dates, ski resorts, you know, New Year, and things like that. But in general, we're talking higher value ticket stuff for a lot of our properties. So it's definitely commercially viable.
I know you're able to, of course, provide with private transportations, but are you able to also include on your rates train tickets and take care of that as well?
Yes, we can do train tickets. Certainly in Switzerland, most of all, has a few of the good resorts. Traveling by train is not it does work very well. The French resorts, they don't link up. It's really just a few of the Swiss resorts it does link up.
Right. Any ski in and ski out where there's no snowboardings?
But no.
Snowboarders?
Where there's where there aren't any snowboarders,
yeah,
or where they're not allowed.
Yeah, not allowed.
No. But actually the number of snowboarders in the Alps is quite small now. I don't know. I think in comparison to the US, I mean, it's a very small number. 15 years ago, you really noticed it. And I would say at one stage, it was going up to kind of, I don't think it ever took over, but it was like 30, 40% of people on the mountain were snowboarders. I would say now it's less than, I don't even think 5%. It's almost like, oh
it's
my
really
gosh.
Small, actually. Yeah.
I'm personally, but it's a bit biased, I'm delighted.
Our friend Lisa Hall wants to know if you are making lunch and dinner reservations for, you know.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really important. The mountain restaurants are a massive feature of the European Alps across all those countries. There are people who won't even leave their property until at breakfast until they know where they're having lunch. There are some who won't even fly before they arrive, before they have put their lunches, or mountain restaurant or evening dinners. Certain resorts are probably more prevalent for this than others, but you know, peak times, New Year travel, if you're a big group, it is really important to book in advance, and we very much encourage it and arrange it. And that is probably quite a unique experience compared to, say, what you get in the US. They just don't have those restaurants on the mountain. And a lot of clients, that is as important as the skiing, and I'm not joking. It really is. So 100%. And we'll advise which ones are good, which ones are new. And it goes right from Michelin star restaurants. You know, there's more Michelin star restaurants in Courchevel 1850 over the winter season, just for those 3 months, than there are open in the same square kilometer than in the center of Paris. So you really have, you know, extraordinary choice. But down to just the traditional fondue raclette evenings that are also something that people really want to experience.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, that sounds lovely. Yeah. And then lastly, Lindsay wants to know if you are charging any fees for credit cards.
No, we don't need to for clients. Well, it depends. If it's a corporate card, we do. No, if it's a corporate card, we do need to. If it's a private card, it depends on the card. There is a fee for Amex, but not for all other cards.
Okay. And Lindsay, I know you missed the answer on the bookings for Virtuoso, but the answer is yes in terms of the amenities. So he's able to pass those along when there's Virtuoso properties, of course. And then lastly, on my end, because I know this is something that comes up pretty often, Rupert, for the advisors that are looking at working with Oxford, and perhaps this their first time looking at booking chalets, what are the questions? What would you say are the 2 or 3 top questions that they should ask their clients to ensure that that's the customer that belongs to a chalet in terms of like rates and average, and this is very, I'm sure the numbers can vary dramatically, but just to have an idea, what are the questions for the client that's trying to move their client from the regular resort, perhaps, and upgrade them into a chalet? What are those questions that they should be asked?
I think probably the key question for it is group size. So, right. It's just chalets are generally 4, 5, 6 bedrooms. Some are 7 bedrooms. That's their size. They're brilliant for groups of 2 or 3 families. And I think that's probably mostly focused on families. There's more so than even couples, independent couples, I would say. So I think if it's 2 people or just 1 family of 4 people, economies of scale, a chalet is going to be expensive because they'll be paying for rooms they're not using. So to really, that's what you're qualifying. I think as soon as you're getting, we are, 10, 12 people, we're a multi-gen going to do this is really one-off experience, grandparents, children, grandchildren. That's when you go, this could well be a chalet. Right. And because it suddenly offers what the benefits of chalets about. Now, price benefits, because potentially that's going to be better value. The cohesion of being all together. Hotels are great, but you're sharing the pool, the spa, the restaurant, the bar with everyone else. Now, also that's quite nice. It was the bar, meeting other people. But if you're with your family for a week, you can dictate every element of it. And again, I think this is, if they want to be together, it's about a special family experience. This is where the alarm bells go, hang on, let's look at, rather than lots of rooms in a hotel, we could have them 6 rooms in a chalet with their own chef, with their own concierge, with their own butler, and they can tailor it exactly how they want. The children can eat when they want, what they want, when they want. The adults can do the same. They can all eat together. There's someone on hand to look after every element. So everything you would expect for the service of a 5-star hotel, you're getting it in these private chalets. I think often people think it won't be as good. I would say arguably in many cases a lot better because it's yours and the facility is the same. So it's probably group size is that main qualification.
Group size, perfect, fantastic. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow we have our second session. This will be more going deeper into
next week.
Next week, the 9th. He got scared for a second. He said tomorrow, the 9th. Sorry, the 9th is session 2, and that is going to be 12:30 Eastern time and 9:30 Pacific time. You're all going to receive, obviously, a reminder of this. Any last words, Rupert, before we close the session?
No, I mean, obviously, you're going to share today with people, and next week we're a little bit more on the property side of things. So we'll delve back into that. And look at the differences and a bit more pricing and just stuff like that. So a bit more detail. I'm not expecting to teach you all about our portfolio because it would be too extensive, but we'll look at that a bit more next week.
Perfect. And for the ones that are not able to attend, yes, we will be recording this. So Carla, to your question, the answer is yes. So we'll be able to, you'll be able to listen to this later. Thank you everybody for attending. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much, Rupert, for your time.
Thank you for setting this up. Absolute pleasure. And please do contact me personally when you get the information. Happy to always speak to any of you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rupert. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Rupert.